take just a moment and allow yourself to arrive into this moment. And just allow yourself to draw your awareness from being hooked into the world all around you. Draw it deep into the self. Draw that awareness deep within you and allow yourself to drop into that spaciousness and stillness within the self. If the mind wanders, just gently bring it back. Allow it to keep unhooking itself from the constantly changing world outside, and just keep drawing it back into the self. Slowly and gently bring the palms of your hands together at chest level in Namaste, and gently rub the palms of your hands against each other. Press the palms of your hands into your closed eyes. slowly lower the hands and open the eyes. Welcome to Satsang. So beautiful to be together with you all. Starting as usual with a question that's come in advance from our internet-based audience, and then we'll open it up to any questions that anyone here might have. I have a regular practice that I am so grateful for, but it's still so difficult to watch my parents grow old and to witness my family of origin disintegrate. My heart feels like it's shattering. I try to keep it together, but it's so heavy and so difficult. I do not want to be a part of this for myself and for my children. And this is asked by Margarita on Instagram. The religious, spiritual tradition of Buddhism was pretty much founded for the same reason. The Buddha was a prince. Lived a life of luxury and comfort and everything being beautiful and perfect. And one day, he witnesses an old person. He's never seen anyone old. He asks, "What is this?" His chauffeur says, "That's an old person." He's like, "What do you mean, old person? What does that mean?" And he's told, "That's what happens. We all get old." Then he witnesses a sick person. And he says, "What is this? Why is this person like that?" And he's told, "Well, that's a sick person." He says, "What does that mean, sick person?" It happens to everyone. The body is just the body. Eventually it disintegrates. It stops working. It gets sick. And then he sees a corpse. They're carrying the corpse to the cremation grounds. Ram Nam Satya, Ram Nam Satya. And he hears that. He says, "What is this?" He's told, "This is a corpse. It's a dead person." So what do you mean, dead person? Well, that's what's going to happen to all of us. Even me? Yes, of course, even you. And suddenly he realizes the way that he's been sheltered, the way that he's been kept from seeing this truth of life. And he goes out into the forest and meditates. I mean, there's more to the story, of course, before that, but in short, he essentially decides, I'm going to sit here until I get enlightened. Because if all life is growing old and getting sick and dying, well, what's the point? I'm going to sit here until I discover what else there is. And that's when he had his awakening, and that's when he became the Buddha, the awakened one. So, Margarita, this aspect of it's so painful to see my parents grow old, people get sick, my family that I've always identified as me. You watch it disintegrate. You should be so blessed that your family only disintegrates when your parents actually get very old and eventually die. Consider that an extraordinary blessing. Far too many people's family disintegrates long before a natural death due to old age. But this is that aspect that pushes so many of us onto spiritual paths. It's that aspect of, oh my God, like, what am I doing? And it's why so many people who get terminal diagnoses, whether they actually end up dying or they end up having beautiful spontaneous recoveries and overcoming the illness, but it's why you see so frequently deep, deep spiritual transformation in people. And why people, even with life-threatening diagnoses, always say, I would not trade that. Because that brings us face to face with, oh my God, I've been living in this. It's not a full illusion. I mean, we all know intellectually we're going to die. We know intellectually that the body is degenerating and disintegrating. But there's a little bit of all of us that kind of thinks, not me. Everyone else, but not me. And when you finally realize, yes, you too, pushes a lot of people onto a spiritual path. Sadly, for many, it's not till the end stages of life where you rush to catch up. So if watching your family start to disintegrate is that which pushes you into a deeper and deeper practice, so be it. That's the only non-negotiable about life. And what's interesting is living with the deep awareness of that disintegration, of family, of relationship, of body, actually takes us, we think, my God, that's morbid, that's so sad. In the West, a lot of us will say things like, oh, I'm so sorry, it's, the dinner table, I didn't mean to be so morbid and, bring up death at dinner. As though somehow there's a time that you talk about death and it's like over here and it's behind the doors and it's certainly not at the dining table and it's certainly not in times of joy. We box it up. And in the Indian tradition, they don't. And there's such a much more healthy, awakened way of dealing with it. I remember the first time I witnessed cremations taking place across the Ganga. And my first thought was, oh my God, the people whose loved ones are being cremated can see from across river and upriver us doing the Ganga Arati, singing, dancing, celebrating. Oh my God, I felt awful. And I thought they must feel so hurt that we have this audacity to celebrate while their loved one is being burned. You lose a loved one and there's this feeling that the sun shouldn't even have the audacity to rise. Kind of how dare the new day begin when my loved one isn't here anymore. And so I had that feeling, and then I realized, that's a really Western sentiment. That in Indian tradition, they don't think like that. They're so much more anchored in this awareness of the omnipresence of life and death, joy and suffering. And then I had an even deeper realization, which was that the flames that rise from the funeral pyres and the flames that rise from our arti seem really different on two separate sides of the river. Like, that's death, this is life. That's mourning, this is celebration. But that's because we've got this illusion of separation. That side of the river, this side of the river. But you go just a few feet above the river, and all of that smoke intertwines. And just a few feet over the river, you no longer can tease apart what was smoke from the funeral and what was smoke from the arti, what was smoke of despair, what was smoke of joy. And how that's such a truth about life. So, yes, it's miserable and depressing, and you don't want to be part of it, and you don't want to bring your kids into it, because someday then you're going to die and they're going to go through it. But this is the package deal of life. And the more we try to push it away, the more we are pushing away life and truth. And so we embrace it. Not that we're looking forward to dying, not that we want it to happen anytime soon, but we embrace the truth of it. Because if we don't embrace that truth, we can't embrace life. And along with that, we embrace the fact that we are not that which dies. It's why chapter 2 of the Bhagavad Gita gets recited so frequently. While people are in a funeral, while people are watching bodies burn, while people are suffering. Because it's that chapter that reminds us, you were never born, you will never die, you are not this body. And the sooner that we really make that a deep inner awareness, the sooner we can actually really embrace life. So Margarita, for yourself and for your children, yeah, it's all going to fall apart. And embrace it anyway. Because in that embrace, you have the opportunity to embrace that which won't fall apart. That soul, that spirit, connect with that soul of your parents, not just their bodies. Connect with that soul within you. Teach your children to connect with the soul within you, with the soul within their grandparents. So that they know that even though there's constant change and disintegration, there is also continuity. And if we don't know that which is continuous, then yeah, the disintegration is really scary. Which is why we have spiritual practice. Other questions? Any question that anyone? Yeah, come forward. There's 2 microphones here, so if you have a question, just feel free to come forward to the microphone. Either way.
Hello. My question is, how can I stop judging people? Because sometimes I find very often myself judging decisions of people. I wouldn't say they are wrong decisions, but just different than the decisions I will take, or different paths that I will follow. And even when I know it's not correct, these thoughts keep appearing in my mind. So I will know how can I disappear.
Yeah, great. So judgment is actually a defense mechanism. We judge others rather than look at ourselves. When you are really, really happy with yourself and you can really embrace all of yourself, it's much easier to embrace all of others. When there are parts of yourself that you try to cut off, to repress, to suppress, to deny, to push away, parts of yourself you don't want to see, one of the ways that we do that is by focusing our attention on others and by pointing fingers at others and being judgmental and negative toward others, so that we don't have to look within ourselves. So, for a moment, just let the judgment be. If it arises, it arises. It doesn't arise, it doesn't arise. But let it be for a moment. And ask yourself, what is it within me that I don't want to look at? What is it within me I wish was different? And when you're able to discover that, and then to really fully accept and embrace all of you, even the parts that may not be exactly the way that you'd love them to be, but you embrace them anyway, you will find it's a lot easier to embrace others. Whether they're making the same decisions that you would make, or different decisions, or they look like you, or they look different, or they talk like you, or they talk differently. Either way, when you can accept yourself, it becomes much easier to accept others. Along the way, as you're doing that, as you find yourself starting to judge someone, the moment that the mind starts doing that, or ideally even before that, if you know it's going to happen, give yourself a task instead, which is to find something really positive about that person. Just from the moment you get into their company, give yourself a job. 3 things that you have to find that are positive about that person. And it'll keep the brain occupied. It'll keep the brain focused, so that there isn't even time and space into the brain for that negative judgment to arise. And you will have made such a soil of looking for goodness, looking for that which is right, that the judgments won't come, and if they do come, they won't stay. So you do that in the short term. But for the long-term solution, look within. And slowly, slowly, part by part, allow yourself to embrace and accept all of you. Beautiful. Other questions? Yes, either of you. Mike. And then we'll take you there. Okay.
Jai Shri Krishna, everyone. First of all, Sadhviji, I pay my gratitude to Lord Shiva and you. Since last week, I went my home, and within 2 days, I got new job at Mother Mary Senior Convent School at my locality. It's around 5 miles, and I am the only student, not a student, teacher. There are 15 female staff, and I am the only gents. So my mom told me that by the grace of God and your blessing, that time I was here for 7 days. So I pay my gratitude to you. Thank you so much.
Wonderful.
And one question I would like to ask. I have question that sometimes some people judge me wrong, and that time I am not wrong. I try to do my best at any time. but sometimes misunderstanding. So that time, what should I do? That time I should be silenced, or what should I do next?
Yeah. So when people misjudge you and are negative to you, as we were just talking about judgment, a lot of times it has much more to do with them than it has to do with you. A lot of times people are projecting onto you that which is going on within them. So don't take it personally. If it's someone whose opinion matters a lot to you, it might be worth taking the time to explain, hey, I know you think this, but actually it's that. But otherwise, if you spend your life trying to explain yourself to everybody and make everybody like you, you have no time to actually live. And that's when you decide that really what's most important is being right by yourself, by God, by your guru. And, we all have a small handful of people whose opinions really do matter to us, who we feel like know us and understand us and can see us, who have our best interest at heart. And you pay attention to what those people think. And the rest of the world, you just kind of let it be. You just let it be. If you notice that lots and lots and lots of people are having the exact same negative judgment about you, and you know it's not true, it might be wise to ask yourself, that's interesting. Like one person made this mistake, don't worry about it, it's about them. But 100 people have made this mistake about me. Maybe there's some way that I am projecting myself that isn't actually in line with my highest truth, which is why when they reflect it back to me, it doesn't feel true. But maybe I'm actually projecting that, even though I don't mean to. Maybe I'm moving through the world sort of seeming to be something in a way that I'm not, really. And that's something that could be really helpful to look at. But if it's just a whole bunch of random, isolated, disconnected people having misjudgments about you, don't worry. Don't worry. The more you achieve in life, the higher you go. The more people will misunderstand you, the more people will judge you. It's just kind of the nature of the beast. So as you are achieving and striving and moving forward, there may be people who respond negatively to that. Make sure that you are always in full integrity, full dharma, full honesty, full humility, full surrender, full awareness that it's not me, it's God. And then you just pray for them. Pray for them. Pray to God to, ease their hearts. To whatever extent their judgment is hurting them, that their hearts should become in ease. And then don't worry about it. Yeah. Beautiful. Last.
Yeah, so my question is, in the Bhagavad Gita, Lord Krishna mentions about Karma Yoga. So I want to know what Karma Yoga actually is and how can we practice it in our day-to-day lives?
Great question. So karma is action. That's what the word means, action. Yoga union. To unite. It's a union of self, individual self, to the divine, to the supreme reality, the infinite, eternal, supreme reality, to God, and also to all of creation, to all that is, that which is unmanifest, that which is manifest, that which is formless, that which is informed. It is an ultimate union. Karma yoga is that action which arises out of yoga. So it is action that arises out of an awareness of, an anchoring in, a commitment to unity, union. Both me and God, as well as me and all of these reflections of, manifestations of the divine. It's also that action which brings me into greater unity. So it's both. It's that which arises out of the awareness of unity that I have, and that action which brings me into closer, deeper, more union. To practice it in our daily lives is every minute, every moment. Can you live with that union? Now, in some cases, that may simply mean washing the dishes while you chant your mantra, driving the car while you chant your mantra, or while you listen to something inspiring that reminds you that you are one with the divine. So it might be that. And it might be tiny things as the day goes by, sort of making sure that you don't step on the caterpillar as you're walking across the grass, that you pay attention that you're not walking and texting, so you can see the caterpillar and you can sort of walk around it. I had the beautiful blessing many years ago, 2010, when we launched the Encyclopedia of Hinduism, and His Holiness the Dalai Lama came for it. And we were sitting on this huge stage, and I was sitting just behind His Holiness, in between him and Pujya Swamiji, just behind them. And I kept noticing that His Holiness the Dalai Lama kept bending down. But I couldn't see what he was doing because I was right behind him. And I just kept noticing he kept bending down, bending down. And later, I asked somebody, I was like, what was he doing? And they said, he kept handing something, because obviously it's the Dalai Lama, so they've got all of his security guys standing in front of the stage. It was this massive event. So his security guys are standing right in front of the stage, kind of in front of him. And he kept handing something to the security guard. And we found out, it turned out, he was picking little itsy-bitsy caterpillars or different bugs off the ground that were crawling at their feet and handing them to his security guard to, put them somewhere safe. They had these big potted plants on the edge of the stage that the security guard would then, put the little insect onto a leaf. Now, that's karma yoga. Right? I mean, he didn't put up a sign that says, I'm doing karma yoga now, this is my seva. It's 2 p.m. on Thursday, my seva time. He's just living. He's sitting on a stage. Before he speaks, after he speaks, he's listening. He's just there. And as he's there, he's saving the lives of caterpillar after caterpillar after caterpillar. Right? So every minute, every moment, it's just an awareness. And of course, in other ways, it's very deliberate. It becomes very deliberate. Our seva, deliberate service, deliberate work. This is what I'm going to do. This is what I'm doing. This is the task that has been assigned to me. Rather than see it as, oh my God, what a burden, or oh my God, this is so easy. We see it as a way of using action to get closer to union. By nature, seva in many, many, many cases traditionally tend to be simple things. In a lot of traditional ashrams, it's cleaning toilets, it's sweeping floors, it's scrubbing the floors. Now, for doctors, in many cases, their seva is operating, not so simple. But traditionally, in a lot of cases, it's really simple, and you get people with MDs and PhDs going for meditation retreats, and suddenly they're cleaning other people's toilets. And not only is it difficult from an ego perspective, but there's that sense of like, this is so beneath me. This is not my highest potential. I'm an MD, I'm a PhD, I've got a master's degree, I'm this, I'm that. And that's the whole point. That we're able to use action to attain union. Because every thought in our mind that says, oh my God, this is so stupid, or this is so hard, this is such a burden, why not get somebody else to do it? Or this is so beneath me. All of these thoughts, or they've got better seva than I do, all of those thoughts are thoughts that are rooted in separation. Separation, I am the doer. And karma yoga is that is taking us into union. It is using action to attain union. So to implement it in your life is all of those things. How can every action, every moment you are brushing your teeth, can you be remembering God? Remembering your truth? Noticing the beautiful, healthy teeth on this body which is not you, but that you've been gifted. You've been gifted. Look at that. Here we are, brushing the teeth on this thing that is not me, but I've been given it. So you just look every moment. How can I use this moment to grow deeper in my union? Whether I'm brushing my teeth, washing the dishes, washing somebody else's dishes, doing specific seva, sitting on a stage, saving caterpillars, walking down the street, whatever you're doing. You'll find that every moment enables you to act in a way that's rooted in union. You choose it in what you eat. Every meal you go for, what are you eating? Are you eating non-veg? Well, that's certainly not rooted in union. When you go shopping, are you buying things that were produced in factories where you've got women and children working in sweatshops? Or factories whose waste is polluting the air or the water or the soil? Or exploiting workers? That's not union. And so you start to realize that every moment is an opportunity to live in separation or in union. Great, thank you. Have a beautiful, beautiful, beautiful evening, everyone. I look so forward to being together with you all tomorrow. And remember also that we have a full day of beautiful activities, yoga classes, meditation classes, the morning fire ceremony, the yagna, the arti, of course. And all of those are open to everyone. There's no charge for anything. There's the schedule up in our reception area, so whether you're staying with us at Parmarth or staying outside, doesn't matter, but feel free to join us for all of these beautiful activities in the day. And I look forward to seeing you all tomorrow evening. So much love always.